everybody? Welcome back to another video. Have you ever thought to yourself, I want to use Heart of Inmost Light, Synthoceps, and Ward of Dawn all in one build? And on Warlock? Probably not many of you thought that, but it's pretty awesome, I gotta admit. So, let's get right into this build. So we're gonna start with our class item. We have Synthoceps Heart of Inmost Light. The TLDR is Synthoceps makes us have more melee damage, and Inmost Light allows us to get our abilities back quicker. The main exotic this build is focused around is the Edge of Action Glaive. So this glaive used to be exclusive to Titans, but now Warlocks can use it, and it's got tons of buffs. So essentially now, Volatile is far better, and it gives it really good ad clearing and usability for that when you're shooting its projectile, but you can use it in its melee form and get boosted damage from Synthoceps. And the effect you get when you get 6 charges, which are really easy to get because you just need a combination of 6 hits on enemies, whether it's melee, ranged, or a combo of both. You just need to get to 6, you consume it, and essentially you could shoot up a literal Ward of Dawn. It's a smaller version and its effects aren't quite as strong, but it's still great. Like, it's still mostly a Ward of Dawn, and it is really good. It helps you stay alive a lot, since, glaives have normal shields to begin with. So that's the heart of this build are those two items, plus, the Prismatic Warlock setup. There's not too many artifact mods to go over here. Um, you can use these 3 artifacts up here to get champion rounds. You can either run a machine gun or a linear, depending what champions you need, and then I would for sure recommend a special sidearm for barriers and just good damage. The rest of this isn't too necessary. Flashover and overclock will help with our lightning charges that we'll be getting. This will help boost our linear fusion rifle damage. But the main one we want for this is no bell. This will increase our glaive melee damage after blocking it, and then hold the line will help us increase the reload speed of our glaive. And then volatile marksman and this will help both our glaive and our heavy void weapon to just, make them better. Pretty simple stuff. This build by no means needs the artifact mods, it's just really nice to have. So let's get into the meat and bones of the build here. We're going to start with our super, Song of Flame. This is a very simple super. I'm sure you know what this does if you're playing Warlock. It's great. The way you want to use it in this build is you just want to spam the melee plus the Synthoceps boost. So, the super incinerator snap, you don't even throw out the birds, so you snap only. So that'll just make it do tons and tons of damage, keep you alive, and it gives you all of your abilities back when it ends, which is really nice. Phoenix Dive, we want Phoenix Dive here. It's the fastest cooldown. It helps us with our Heart of Inmost Light loop. Run whatever glide you want. You need Arcane Needle. This gives us 3 charges of our aspect. And then Vortex Grenade. This is good crowd control and weakens enemies. So this is just a nice to throw on a boss or mini boss to increase everything else's damage by just 15%, which is sweet. Aspects. Feed the Void. This gives us Devour. This is just a must on Prismatic Warlock. I'm sure you know what it does. But this is the main kicker of this build, Lightning Surge. So what Lightning Surge is a melee option. So we're not really using our Arcane Needle. It's being consumed into Lightning Charge. What it's going to do is you're going to do like a little uppercut after sliding and meleeing. And that's going to give you Bolt Charge and jolt the enemy and do tons of damage. Since we have Synthoceps, which boosts this thing's damage. And it got a nice buff in this last update. So Bolt Charge... essentially, you can build stacks of it up, and once you reach 10 stacks, it shoots out a big bolt of lightning. Nothing too complicated, and this makes us amplified because of one of our fragments. And amplified got buffed to give us 15% damage resistance. So keep that in mind when we're talking about multipliers on survivability. So between being amplified and you have the glaive melee, and you'll get void overshields from the Heart of Inmost Light, will be very tanky. We're going to start with Sacrifice as our first fragment here. This gives us more Darkness Transcendence, because as you'll notice, the only way to get Darkness Transcendence is the call here. So we got to make sure we're using that to build up Transcendence, because we can spam tons of Lightning Surges while we're within Transcendence. So keep that in mind. Dominance, this allows both our regular and our Transcendence Grenade to weaken, which is just really nice. Protection, this is another flat damage resistance, and it's even more when you're within Transcendence mode. So that stacks with being amplified, which we get by Awakening. Rapidly defeating targets gets an elemental pickup. So that means when we're getting Arc Funnel Blows, it gives us Ionic Traces, which makes us amplified. And when we're amplified, we have damage resistance. It'll also make it so that Song of Flame makes fire sprites for our teammates to get their grenades back, and our void weapons here will do void breaches, which gives us our class ability, which then in turn we can use to consume to get Heart of Inmost Light. So tons of ability feedbacking. And then balance here allows us to get our abilities back even quicker. So this just makes it so when we're defeating target with light damage, which is 90% of all the damage we're going to be doing, probably 95%, we'll get our melee back, which is the main thing we want. The grenade's a nice bonus, but the melee is what we're looking for here. Alrighty, we already kind of went over the weapons, so we're running double special as you see, but you won't have any problem running out of ammo once we get into this. Our helmet, we run hands-on, ashes, and a void siphon. This allows us to get our super back quicker with our melee and grenade. This allows our void weapons to make orbs, which just feeds into our abilities and our super. The gloves, too heavy-handed and firepower. This just makes us more orbs to use. And running too heavy-handed makes it so the orbs are stronger, and you can get one every 5 seconds instead of every 10 seconds, which is really nice. Like, because otherwise there's a 10-second internal cooldown that you have to work around. This makes it only 5 seconds. So that's really nice when you're in Transcendence, especially. Our chest piece, I'm running a melee resistance since we're going to be in melee quite a bit. And then I have 2 reserves on. You could take these off for more resistance mods if you need them. So do that as you please. Our boots, we're running Absolution, Invigoration, and Restoration. This just, all those orbs we're creating will give us our abilities back, which is really nice. And then on our bond, I'm running a special finisher. This just gives us special ammo for our 2 special weapons in a pinch if we run out. Powerful attraction, so when we Phoenix dive, we suck all the orbs in that we've been making, and we'll be Phoenix diving all the time. And then Reaper, so every time we Phoenix dive, we make more orbs. So overall, this is a very ability spammy build, and you want to make sure you have max resilience and as high strength as possible, and then dump the rest into discipline and recovery. Doesn't really, intellect and mobility don't really matter too much. You'll get your abilities back quickly. But that's this build in a nutshell. So I will catch you guys with some gameplay showcasing the strengths of this build. Alrighty here. Pretty simple gameplay loop here. So we want to try to build up our 6 charges of our Ward of Dawn, so we have it ready, and you hold down square to get it ready, essentially, is what we're trying to do. Okay, so that's built and ready, so we want to get Arc Surge here to get our Devourer up. Perfect. We're going to try to chip away at this boss since he does a lot of damage to us. We've got a Ward of Dawn here. So the Ward of Dawn can be janky with meleeing. If enemies are right on the edge of the bubble, it has a hard time meleeing them, as you'll see sometimes in my gameplay here. So I've got another Ward of Dawn to move up with. We've got an Overload guy here. He decided to back up. He does not want to challenge me. I'm trying to get another Ward of Dawn ready, which we've got. But the boss man is going to destroy me if I try to fight here. So I'm going to fall back to try to reposition. So make sure it actually consumes. Sometimes it struggles. So we pop our Ward of Dawn. It gives us an overshield. It gives us a damage boost. And we could dip in and out of it if we need cover at any time. See? We go in, we reload, get a fresh overshield. Pretty simple. We're going to continue to use our glaive here to move up. The sidearm has barrier, so it's good against this guy who's got that stupid annoying shield. Hopefully we can get our shields up here before he gets us. We're running high strength and high resilience to try to be more tanky here. Alright, so Bossman is gone. These guys aren't too much of a threat to us. See how we're amplified? That is 15% damage resistance now as well. So we get Bolt Charge and Amplified and Devour from just diving to those enemies, which is sick. So we're one charge away. We've got a Ward of Dawn ready. We've got our Weaken Grenade on the Overload Champion. Now we can go to town with him with our machine gun. This is why we're running the machine gun instead of the linear. Like I said, you can use either. There goes our Bolt Charge. Probably not a good idea to melee into a group of suicide bomber enemies, but it worked out here. Okay, so now we have both of our Transcendence available to us and our Song of Flame. This is probably the hardest part of this specific Lost Sector. And there's two bad men and 2 champions and the boss here. So we want to burst down the barrier champion. The 2 bad men are the wyverns. They will destroy you. So we took care of the boss, 2 wyverns, and a barrier champion, and we got chip damage on the 3rd barrier with 1 Song of Flame. As you'll see, I mostly use my melee. We get him to pop a shield. We can burst him down with the machine gun. As you see, this build works very well. This is fairly hard content, and we have very good survivability. We didn't even need to use the glaive, that entire section, basically. So, we've got it available to us to clear out this last section. This section isn't very hard, but we could try to get some melees into some enemies here. Keep our Devour up, do some ad clear. As you'll see, the melee gets kind of janky here, so we want to get this next to Bossman. He can't really hurt us when we're inside of it. Especially if you're blocking with the glaive, he can't do anything. So we can dip in and out with our glaive shield up. He's not going to do anything to us. We've got another bubble now. We can get up close to him. We got to see how it's not mailing. Might have to step out a little. Boom, he's down. Just like that. We had no threat of these enemies getting us. And we have another bubble ready, and we can celebrate our victory. So, that was pretty slick. Oh, I got one last clip for you here. I did another Legend Lost Sector the next day. I waited, tested out on this Lost Sector, and holy... This is really showcasing what this build has to offer. Just crazy survivability, crazy ad clear. I mean, this is really where this build is at its best. Like, this Vortex Grenade got so much value. But I figured I'd throw this in at the end. This is my outro, so I'll catch you guys in another video. Take care, have a nice day.